Eighth grade, this is Mr. James. It's Wednesday. Hope you're having a great day. Two things before I get started. One, on Friday, please remember on the first Monday's video, in today's video, you'll need to be taking notes of all the things I have highlighted in yellow. So on Friday, in Google Classroom, you'll submit both notes, so 2 pieces of paper, 2 notes on Google Classroom of your notes, and this will be a grade. Also on Friday, second thing, please send 1 video of you saying this memory verse. I'll give you my WhatsApp information. Send it to me on WhatsApp and with your name and what class you're in. And then I'll be able to give you the grade. Again, this is a memory verse, so you should be memorizing this throughout the week. Today, we're looking at the book of Judges, which is titled Going in a Cycle, because things repeat in this book. But before we get started, our verse for this week is Joshua 1:9. Which says, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous, do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." Joshua 1:9. And that's one of my favorite verses in the whole Bible. But just to get started, the book of Judges, for really 350 years after the death of Joshua, God used judges to lead Israel. Unlike judges that we have today, Israel's judges did a lot more than just make decisions about laws. Judges governed the people and led armies even. God appointed these judges to deliver Israel, to help Israel and lead them from slavery. He told them to preach his word and showed them how to guide Israel to serve him. Judges, unfortunately, they didn't have as much power as a king might. So many people didn't pay attention to their judges or the elders, the older people in their tribe. You can disregard that title. This is all just the book of Judges. After all that God had done for Israel, they turned to idol worship. They chose to worship idols. They wanted a God that they could see. Right? Even though they had the tabernacle, they wanted something in front of them. So they built these false idols. They failed to drive out the Canaanites when they entered the promised land. And they disobeyed God because they didn't. They were exposed to the Canaanite gods and their rituals of false worship. They soon became like the Canaanites. And they began to like them. And their stone, the gods of stone, wood, and gold. Israel's idol worship made God very angry because of 3 things. Idols are not true gods. Only one true God exists. Idol worship breaks God's first 2 commandments. God is jealous, and he desires our devotion. So God punished his people each time they turned to idols. When they repented, God raised up judges to deliver them. But during times of peace, Israel kept failing and fell in love with idols again. So there's a cycle, a repetition of things that keep happening, that Israel is repeating. So there's a good picture. Shows that, right, we are selfish. We like to do our own things. When times are good, we can forget God. But ultimately, we need God's help. And we all sin, right? So here is kind of this cycle that they would keep going in, right? They would be in slavery. God would deliver them because of their sorrow. They would save them, but then they would sin. And they'd go back into slavery, be in sorrow, but God would save them, and they would sin over and over. We also see that in this cycle that God is a jealous God, right? He doesn't stand for false idols. He destroys them, and there's punishment when we disobey. There's punishment for sin, right? God forgives again and again and again, and he loves his people and desires a relationship with him. So we have this repetition even in that. So just some important things. This was a shorter lesson today. Our verse for the week is Joshua 1:9. When we look at Judges, they governed the people and led armies. But because Israelites failed to drive out all the Canaanites as God told them. They were exposed to the Canaanite gods and their rituals of false worship. Idols are not true gods. Only one true God exists. Idol worship breaks the first two commandments, and God is jealous. He's a jealous God who desires our devotion. And then the two cycles of repetition are that we are selfish. We like to do our own things. We forget God in good times. We need God's help. And we all sin. And God's cycle is God is a jealous God. There's punishment for sin, but God forgives again and again. And he loves people and desires a relationship with them. So we see the gospel or the good news of the fall, that we are all sinful, but God made a way of forgiveness through Jesus. So our participation questions. What is our memory verse for this week? Same question every week. And what two things did the judges do for their people? I said it at the very beginning and at the end of this video, I think. So go ahead, review it. You'll get the answers. Have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.